Hi Capricorn, welcome to your October 2024 horoscope. We have a lot to get through, especially the first half of October is quite intense, so let's just jump right into it. We start the month on October 2nd with a solar eclipse or a new moon in the sign of Libra. For you Capricorn, this is happening in your 10th house of career. So there might be some new developments or faded new beginnings when it comes to your career. This new moon is conjunct Mercury, which is the planet of communication, the planet of our intellect. So I feel like this eclipse will be very much focused on our thoughts or our mind space. And specifically for you, Capricorn, your thoughts or your mindset around your career and around your public image. I will also add that the new moon is happening in the decan or the third of Libra, which is ruled by the planet Uranus. And if none of that jargon meant anything to you, all you need to know is that you could get unexpected news. Uranus is the planet of unexpected change. So whatever is happening around this eclipse might be something that you didn't see coming, that it might come out of nowhere, and it might be quite surprising. And I will mention one more thing about the solar eclipse, Capricorn, which is that we have a lot of planets in retrograde during the eclipse. We have Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto all retrograde. So what this means is it's not a good time to take action. Things might be happening, you might feel it intensely, you might feel like you need to make decisions or take actions, but see if you can delay that, if that is possible, and just take this time to reflect and think about and be a little bit more introspective about what's happening. Reflect on what are the different actions you could take with this new beginning or new understanding that you're getting. And after the eclipse is over, usually about a week afterwards, you should be able to feel that intensity go away, and you should feel like, okay, maybe you could start taking some more clear actions around it. 2 days later, on October 4th, we have Saturn trining Venus. Saturn is in your 3rd house, Capricorn. Venus is in your 11th house. So you might feel like you are having to think quite hard and be quite disciplined around the way you communicate. You might especially be thinking about what am I saying and how am I saying it and how can I adjust. And you might find it difficult. You might feel like, wow, I have these great ideas of what I want to say, but somehow I cannot get the words across. I cannot make it make sense to others or put it in a way that it's understandable to others. And on this day, you might feel like spending time with friends, spending time with a community that has similar values as you could help you with that, could help you find the right words to put to your thoughts, could help you with your communication, could maybe be somebody that you literally practice your speech or your presentation in front of, and they are able to support you in putting the right words to what you're trying to say. Then we have both Jupiter and Pluto changing directions. And I gotta add, planets don't actually change direction in the way they're moving. It's just how we perceive it. So from the way we're looking at them on Earth, it looks like they're changing direction. So on October 9th, we have Jupiter. It looks like it's going direct. And then from October 9th to us, it looks like it's moving backwards. And then on October 11th, we have Pluto, who to us looked like it was going backwards. And then from the 11th, it's going to look like it's going forwards. And It's when planets do this, when they switch direction, when they appear to slow down so that they could start moving the opposite way, that's when we start to really feel these big shifts happening. So let's get into what this means more for you, Capricorn. On October 9th, Jupiter is going retrograde in your 6th house of routine and health. So you might have been finding it quite easy since May of this year to get your routine and your health in order. You're finding it easier to get up on time. You're finding it easier to eat healthy. And now that Jupiter is going retrograde, you might be wondering, am I taking this for granted? Am I really using this ease, this easiness to actually make great changes? Am I using this opportunity? Am I doing something with this newfound energy or this newfound routine? Or am I becoming a bit too haughty and maybe flaunting it to others? Then on October 11th, when Pluto starts to go direct, for you, Capricorn, this is happening in your 1st house. This is final time. Pluto is going to be in your 1st house. Soon it's going to finally leave your 1st house and never be there again. So I promise, Capricorn, you will feel a lot better when it does that. But now is sort of like the time to put your money where your mouth is and to really put into practice what you have learned about yourself and your identity the last 20 years with Pluto being in your 1st house. Have you learned about how powerful it can be to be a leader, how powerful it can be to stand out, to take attention, to stand on your own 2 feet and be independent? Have you learned the purpose you can have in your life when it comes to things such as being your own individual, things such as even just expressing yourself, having your hair and your clothes be in true alignment with who you are, and finding that sense of power when you step out into the street and you feel like, wow, I am really showing who I am truly to the rest of the world. Then we get to October 13th and 14th, which is actually, I would say, one of the most interesting days in the month of October. We do have a very pleasant aspect between Sun and Jupiter. We have a trine, and both of them are quite expansive, a bit egotistical, feel-good planets. So you might especially feel like you have great ideas, you're feeling good, and you're excited. However, this is what makes it interesting. We also have 2 aspects on this day that are a bit more challenging and that show that perhaps we are putting our ideas ahead of our actions. We are excited about our ideas, but somehow we cannot support it with our actions. And we might especially be feeling like we want to carry out these unique ideas. We love that they're so different. We love that they are maybe perhaps something unexpected, something that people might not be expecting of us. But yet at the same time, there's this part of us that feels like, but I also want to be loved and accepted and not stir the boats. I want to be in harmony and maintain good relationships. So all of this should be happening around October 13th and 14th. And if we are talking specifically about you, Capricorn, the trine between Sun and Jupiter is highlighting your 6th and 10th house. So we see you especially getting excited and motivated when it comes to your routine and when it comes to your career. Perhaps, the events that happened around the eclipse are adding to this excitement. You've had some time to think about them, they're stewing, and you have a grand plan figured out that feels so exciting and feels so optimistic. And it doesn't mean that this plan is bad per se, but I would again just caution you to not take it too fast, to also really think about, okay, what are the actions? How can I put this into place? And specifically because the square between the Sun and Mars is activating your house of partnerships, it might be that your partner is in some way holding you back or challenging these exciting ideas that you might have. On October 17th, we have a full moon in the sign of Aries. For you, Capricorn, this is happening in your 4th house. It's an angular house, so even though this is not necessarily a super intense full moon, you might be one of the signs that feels it more than others because it is in an important house for you. So the moon is in your 4th house, the sun is in your 10th house, and you might be, during this full moon, getting a new level of understanding or seeing your family and your home situation in a way that you've never seen it before. And what's interesting about this full moon is that we have Venus sextiling Pluto. Venus is in your 11th house, house of friendships and community, and Pluto is in your 1st house, your house of identity. So whatever is happening with your home or with your family on this full moon, you are especially asked to tap into that identity that you've been establishing for yourself in the last 20 years with Pluto in your 1st house. You are especially asked to really stand as your own independent person and to not be afraid to be supported by your community and by your friends, people that really align with your values. Because sometimes we cannot say the same for our family. You know, sometimes our family is our family, even if our values don't align with each other. And now we have gotten to the second part of the month. I promise this should be a bit easier than the first part. On October 18th, for example, we have Venus entering the sign of Sagittarius. For you, Capricorn, Venus is entering your 12th house. So in October, it might be a wonderful time to step a little bit more into your spiritual routines, see if you can establish some new spiritual routines, see if you can tap into what it means to be compassionate and what it means to see every human being as just a human being, no matter what they own, no matter how much they earn, no matter where they live, to see if you can tap into some of more of those ideas during the month. And consider, Capricorn, this is the sign of Sagittarius in your 12th house. So spirituality doesn't have to be something serious or something heavy. It could also be something fun. I really see this as, you know, the sign of Sagittarius in the 12th house is almost like using dancing as a form of meditation, using a hobby, pottery or painting as your form of spirituality. You could also be doing this, for example, by traveling. Sagittarius also represents travel, or even education. You know, maybe you want to follow a course that helps you touch base into this more spiritual side of yourself. Then on October 22nd, we have the Sun squaring Pluto. And even though this can be quite intense, it is quite fast moving as well. So it might feel intense, but it's not going to be any event that's going to grandly impact your life, but something that might only impact you for just a couple of days. For you, Capricorn, the Sun is in your 10th house, Pluto is in your 1st house. So we see again something happening in your career and you needing to step into the power of your identity and individuality, about stepping into your power of how you show up and how you dress, how you present yourself, stepping into this power of being your own unique individual and not adhering to the rest of the group or to the rest of what others want you to do. The day after, the Sun is finally leaving your 10th house and entering your 11th house. So from the 23rd onwards, you might feel for about a month a little bit more that you are getting more energy, a feeling of being alive by spending time with your friends, by spending time in community. I have left a couple of transits out of this horoscope just for the sake of time and just because I thought they're probably to go unnoticed. A couple of them are sextiles, but on October 24th, there is one sextile happening that I do want to mention. And this is a sextile between Mars and Uranus. And this sextile I thought was worth mentioning because both Mars and Uranus can be quite explosive, quite in your face as well. Mars is in your 7th house, Capricorn, while Uranus is in your 5th house. So on this day, you might find that the fun, the hobbies that you're having, the parties that you're attending, the pleasures of day-to-day life are also making it easier for you to handle your partnership, are making it easier for you to be more bold and courageous in your partnership, and vice versa. As you become more bold, courageous, unapologetically yourself in your partnership, that is also feeding you and allowing you to enjoy the day-to-day life a little bit more, allowing you to enjoy your hobbies more, to also just enjoy parties and being social, creative, and just expressing your inner child. And then we round off the month on October 28th with a square between Venus and Saturn. So a square between Venus and Saturn can be a bit challenging. Venus wants us to focus on pleasure and beauty and harmony and peace. And Saturn wants us to focus on self-discipline, constriction, and working hard. For you, Capricorn, Venus is in your 12th house, Saturn is in your 3rd house. So you might find that this spiritual practice that you have started is making it difficult for you to communicate. We talked about in the last year and a half that you have been going through this area, this period where you're trying to figure out how to communicate, how to actually put your words in a way that others can understand them. And you're ending off the month perhaps feeling like this spiritual practice that you're doing, this contemplation about compassion and humanity, is maybe making that even more difficult. It's making you define even better how it is that you want to communicate, what it is that you want to say to people, what are the topics you want to talk to people about. So overall, Capricorn, lots of different focuses for you. We see a little bit of that career focus coming up, a lot of focus on community and friendship. And then, of course, getting a little bit more of a spiritual practice and really to continue to reflect and refine how you communicate, what you communicate about, and how you get your words across to others. So Capricorn, if you do want to dive a little bit more into that eclipse at the beginning of the month, I'll leave the video here where I talked in detail about eclipse season. Thank you for joining me, Capricorn, and I hope to see you again soon.